I spent 9 months collecting data on my own investing behaviour. What it revealed is not what I expected. Most investors never actually investigate their own behaviour. They analyse the market constantly, but rarely turn that same scrutiny on themselves. They check prices daily. They read every headline. They watch everyone else's portfolio. Everyone else's moves, but almost never their own. So I decided to treat my own finances like a case file. 9 months of my own transaction history, pulled and laid out like evidence, not memory. What I found, once I actually looked, stopped me cold. Every contribution, every withdrawal, time-stamped, dated, laid out in order exactly as it happened, not as I remembered it. Not memory, not vibes, just the literal, unemotional record of what my own money actually did. I started circling anything that looked even slightly out of place, the way you'd work through evidence on a real case. At first, just a few entries, then more, then a pattern I genuinely could not unsee, no matter how I tried to explain it away. The contributions told a clean story. Steady, reliable, week after week, without fail. That discipline was real, and I want to be clear about that. The withdrawals told an entirely different story. Not one big exit I could point to and explain. A long string of smaller ones, scattered quietly across the months. Each one, at the time, came with an alibi that seemed to check out completely. A school fee here. A family obligation there. An expense that genuinely felt like it couldn't wait. But laid out together, on one single timeline, those alibis stopped adding up to an innocent explanation. Because when I actually totaled them, withdrawals had quietly taken back more than half of everything I'd put in. Not from one decision, from a dozen small ones. Here's what the investigation actually uncovered, the part theory alone could never have shown me. This wasn't 12 different, unrelated problems. It was one suspect, wearing 12 different disguises, each one convincing on its own. Sometimes it showed up as panic, when a market dip made the exit feel urgent and necessary. Sometimes as urgency, when a real need arrived, with nowhere else built to draw from. Sometimes as temptation, when a new opportunity looked good enough to justify funding itself from money that was already working. 3 very different feelings. But underneath all 3, one recurring suspect. And 9 months of real data had just placed all 3, red-handed, inside my own numbers. Here's the part that actually closed the case. And it wasn't what I expected. It wasn't more willpower. I didn't need to try harder or grip tighter. I needed to look. That, by itself, was the entire fix. Once the pattern was visible, laid out plainly in my own history, I couldn't pretend it wasn't there anymore. You can't solve a case you've never actually allowed yourself to open. So open yours. Pull your own transaction history. Lay it out exactly as it happened, not to convict yourself and not to spiral into guilt. Just to see clearly what's actually there. Because once you can see it plainly, closing it gets a lot simpler than most people expect. Next time, I'm breaking down the rule that ended most of the debate about what actually moves a portfolio forward, and it isn't your stock picks. Which disguise shows up most often in your own data, panic, urgency, or temptation? Tell me honestly in the comments.